This Wyrd Road is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion advised.
Welcome to This Wyrd Road with Ulf and Boli. I'm Boli. This
I'm
is
Ulf.
We're coming to you this week with the third in our 9-part series of the Noble Virtues. This week is courage.
And as always, we like to, when we remember to do our format in correct order, like we didn't do last time, we like to try to lead in with a current event that connects to our topic. And after some searching around and some brainstorming between Boli and I think there were actual storms involved.
Usually.
We thought that the best example in current news today of courage is the incident or incidents going on at Standing Rock.
Yeah, it's not getting a lot of
media attention
publicity
anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it never was really because I mean there was the media blackout.
It did for like a small burst, and then it got quiet again. But there's a whole lot of noise still being made there, and rightfully so.
Yeah. For one, Cheeto Man decided to go ahead and push through the pipeline, even though it had been deemed unconstitutional by the
former POTUS
president. I still say until one takes over, he's still president, because we certainly don't have a president right now.
To back up a little, for those who don't know, to give kind of a brief history, Standing Rock is a Sioux, I believe, Native American reservation, and there are companies wanting to push a pipeline, an oil pipeline, through. And of course, the people on the res were against this. A lot of other people were against it.
Right.
There's been a lot of protests, fighting, and everything. And after a lot of protests and actual bloodshed, I said, the former POTUS, Obama, said, okay, enough. It's not going through. It's done. And then 10 seconds after the Cheeto-faced shit-giving gets in office,
that's a fair description.
He renders that null and void and pushes the pipeline through. So these people are fighting for their land and their lives again.
Right.
And why we think this is a proper example of courage is people have not been afraid to stand up and let their voices be heard, not just from a distance, but they're on the land, and not just the people who live on or near that res.
People from all over.
People from all over have come to help. Veterans, specifically U.S. Armed Forces veterans, who had no other stake in the land other than it's a piece of the country they've fought and seen friends die to protect, have gone out there and stood in lines, and some of our veterans lost their lives for this. People have been hit with hoses, sprayed with hoses in freezing temperatures. It's been pretty heinous.
That is, for one, heinous is a damn fine word for it. But you have a great example here of courage and of community, because you have people who you have other tribes coming in to support. The current one, that like the tribe that is on Standing Rock, and yeah, you were right. There's Sioux. I just looked it up. They're having so much trouble here, and it's not just the federal government. I mean, like even their local police
were against them. Yeah,
people who should be there on their side, because clean water is important for everybody.
Yeah,
like all life is pretty much dependent on clean water, except for like the arsenic-based life forms from. Never mind. It's a couple years old. I don't know why that hasn't become more prevalent. Yeah, but
so more sciencey episode.
Yeah, but here you have several groups of people coming together to defend this chunk of land that it's already been deemed unconstitutional, I guess.
Yeah.
To build through there, especially when you have an entire nation of people saying, no, don't do that. It's a bad idea.
And it is about really about defending more than the chunk of land, because as you say, it's defending the water that's going through there. It's the water rights, and it's the rights of the people. I mean, that's why this is a great example of courage, because no matter what's done to these people, for all these rights they're defending, they keep standing up and keep saying no and keep fighting.
Yeah, no matter.
And I mean, this, lesser people would shrink from this. This cannot be in any way easy for these folks. But they're going out there, and I mean, at this point now, because lives have already been lost, anybody else who goes out there to fight for it knows they're putting their life on the line. Not maybe, not if, but definitely. And they're still going out there to do it. That is courage.
Right. So, even though we can't get out there to help, we definitely do support those people.
Yeah, I know and I'm sure you too have done what we can online to support, done the Facebook support things, spread the word for people to know what's going on, things like that. Do whatever we can where we can.
What was that?
Donations. Send donations.
You can send donations, as our editor-in-chief is reminding us.
Yes. By the way, we've joked previously and called her Buffy because of this staking movement she was making during one instance. But my lovely wife is the author Michelle Lee. So shameless plug there. Go buy all her books twice.
Yes.
Give them to your mama.
They're very much goodly. But she is right. She makes a good point. We weren't thinking of, if you can show your own support and courage in this by, if you can't get there, you want to support, send donations. They need money to keep up this fight.
Yeah.
They take gift cards too.
Yeah.
There you go. They take gift cards too, apparently. And, I mean, Lord knows they already have enough money against them.
Right.
So every little bit helps.
The point that often gets missed, especially when there's like natural disasters and stuff like that, is a lot of people want to jump to sending supplies, but then they have to pay people to sort through them and all this stuff, or take up volunteer time, whatever, sorting through these things.
Yeah, because they have to make sure they're legit, because some jackass will try to, get bad things through, so to speak. I mean, there's always that possibility. There's always that chance.
I think you went to a far worse place than what has ever actually happened. Places like Dare to Care, the Red Cross, stuff like that. I don't think there's ever been a recorded event like that happening. Generally, those people don't bother
but they have to sort
doing anything.
Out.
They have to sort them. They have to do all this stuff. So
in Standing Rock, there have been the local government has been preventing mail drops from Standing Rock.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, I was gonna. So there's all that. These things need to be dealt with. But that was a pretty good lead in there on as far as courage is concerned. We need to get more people like that to stand up.
Yeah, because I mean that's what courage is, to stand up for your convictions, for what you believe in, no matter what. I mean, people like to throw around sayings and things like, you've got to stand for something or you fall for anything and all that. And sticking to your guns is important. But those things are easier said than done. And it's the doing of these things in the face of this kind of adversity that is true courage.
Right. I just want to point out that picks up every time you hit the table.
I know you guys, if you're hearing a thump like there's a percussionist in the room, it's me talking with my hands again, only there's a table in front of me and I keep thumping it. So, I'm making the big loud noise.
That's what he said.
Yes. So we have that. And you mentioned famous sayings as far as courage is concerned. Mm-hmm. My favorite comes from Captain America.
The tree?
Yes. Standing like a tree against the world. Tell them, no, you move. Yeah.
I can never remember the whole quote, but I always know it's the tree quote. The tree quote is important. I think we're going to have it in a moment from the lips of the Boli, if I can find it.
Yeah, but there's more important things to carry on with. defining courage isn't really hard. I mean, you pretty much did it.
I was gonna say, I think you kind of nailed it there. Yeah.
Basically, anytime you stand up for, and it's not just being a mouthpiece or anything like that. There has to be, I think, for it to be genuine courage, there has to be some risk of loss.
Which sometimes being vocal about, there can be risk of loss.
Right.
Because there are different types of loss. But yeah, just saying something from afar, which is, for example, the best we can do at the moment.
Right.
That while that is support, and that is, as you said earlier, community, it's a show of community, that's not courage per se.
Right. But I was going to go off on another slightly geek tangent. Was the movie Angus?
Mm-hmm. From the early 90s,
his grandfather tells him that Superman's not brave because Superman is indestructible.
Right.
And Michelle and I have had discussions about that sort of thing numerous times, about how Superman's not really a good guy. He's held in check by guilt, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not brave because there's no risk to him at all.
Yeah, because
nothing on Earth can hurt him. It's basically Batman, and Batman can do anything because he's Batman. But
let's not get into
that. The reason I bring it up though is because I feel that there has to, in order for it to be truly courageous,
you have to be risking
there has
something.
to be some risk to yourself.
Yeah.
So while it's awesome for people on the outside to lend help, that's not a real show of courage.
Yeah, as I said, it's a show of support, but not courage. I mean, because you and I and other people, shall we say, in our strata, who we can show support and feel bad for them and all that, but we don't have anything at risk. While we have a dog in that fight in the long term because of how clean water and things will affect us in the long run, we're not the ones there whose livelihoods are at risk, whose lives are at risk, who, for some people, the very land they live on is at risk. I like it.
Yeah, I tell you the truth. If I could, here's the part where I guess I sound like a coward. If I could do it without endangering my family, I would be there. I'd be taking blasts from these
I don't think
soldiers.
I don't think that's necessarily cowardly, because you didn't say without endangering yourself. You said without endangering your family, which is different.
But whatever they do to me will grow back. I mean, we all know that.
He does have some crazy healing ability, folks. I've seen it.
Swear to God, you can ask my dad.
But no, I don't think it's cowardly to say if I could do it without putting my family at risk.
Right.
If I could do it without putting me at risk, that's cowardice.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. I would do it if there were no risk to me. That's cowardice, but that's not what you said.
Right.
What you said there was being protective of your family. I'm sure plenty of people there at Standing Rock wish they could do it without putting their families at risk.
Well, and that goes back to honor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am showing honor in that I would defend my family above everyone else.
Right. And actually, this whole thing we're talking about at Standing Rock, that ties back to honor too, because for these people to stand up the way they've been is very honorable.
Yes. Oh, especially the people who've come in that only have a distant dog in the fight.
Like the veterans and things like that, or the protesters.
Basically anyone from outside.
The non-native protesters that are outside the gate.
Yeah.
I believe, was it Standing Rock that I believe Mark Garofalo actually delivered some solar panels or something, some kind of help to?
There's been quite a few celebrities.
Quite a few celebrities have, yeah.
I think, was it Shia LaBeouf has been involved in that as well? I know
he may have been. Like you said, several celebrities have made their presences known there, and
he's been very active lately as far as activism anyhow.
Yeah. I don't know what all he's been into recently, but
right.
He's a big activist kind of guy.
Speaking of activism, on our way to pick you up.
Nazis.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. He's been in favor of punching Nazis, which actually I'm not in favor of, but that's for a completely
Completely
different
different
reason.
For a reason, that too.
But on the way to pick you up, we saw a Resist 45 billboard here in Louisville.
Nice.
So, and I was like, what the, it was 45, what the hell? And she's like, 45th president? I was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of dumb, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, you're adorable, which is, so it balances out, and that's why you're kept around. At least that's why my wife says she keeps me around.
It's rather lengthy, if you want me to read it, though.
What the heck, for those that want to hear it, the tree state, because we've referred to it before, so
Yeah.
the tree statement.
Doesn't matter what the press says, doesn't matter what the politicians or the mob say, doesn't matter if the whole country decides that something wrong is something right. This nation was founded on the principle of above all else, the requirement that we stand up for what we believe, no matter what the odds or the consequences. When the mob and the press and the whole world tells you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. Stepping on my lines, bitch, I will stab you.
Trying to, be supportive of it.
Right. Anyhow, so that's
I think he's just out to hurt me today, folks.
It could be, but I think we need to end our geekdom with that because that's a good spot.
That is good. So we're going to take a little break.
No, we're not. We still have like 10 minutes.
I thought you were leaning.
No, I said end.
He misleads me. It's his fault.
Yeah, we'll blame it on me, right? Everyone else does.
Everything else gets blamed on me, so you got to take something.
Anyhow, so as we've said, courage was easy to define, unlike the previous two, and I think they're going to get easier to define as we go.
I think so too.
Because the concepts become more simple because they're backed up by the more complicated one.
Yeah.
So courage is easy to define. There are lots of examples of it if you want to look for them.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually throwing a bit of a tantrum on the way here because I'd been looking and hadn't thought of a single thing, and Ulf's the one who brought up Standing Rock, so we jumped on that. Because
it stood out to me pretty starkly when I started thinking about it.
Yeah, I was going to go with historical references such as, is it Thermopylae? Anyway, the story of 300, everyone's seen the movie, is based loosely on factual events.
Right, very loosely.
But it was, in hindsight, a bad idea, but it was still a group of people standing up for what they believed in.
Yeah, it was still an act of courage.
Yeah. Persian control actually ends up being way better in the long run for most of the world.
Yeah, but
that they conquered.
They were standing up for their people and their way of life, and there's something to be said for that. Greeks were.
Yeah, but I was going to bring up that and, the berserker who defended the bridge from the English soldiers.
Why don't you tell that story? You know that story better than I do, and that story is a good example of courage.
Right. Well, it comes down to there was a group of northern adventurers? No, it was explorers, and they were essentially a military force. They were met at the Rhine River by English forces who was there. It was a hot point, basically. It was a
contested point for
it was
military might, basically.
Yeah, it was strategically a good bit of land.
That's it. It was a strategically important spot.
Right.
Give us a minute and we get to the words.
And it came down to several of the northerners were injured, and they crossed this bridge that covered the Rhine, and the other European soldiers were advancing on them, and essentially one lone berserker stood on the bridge and defended them, and so that their men could retreat and heal. And reportedly, again, these things get inflated, but took on like 100 men because the bridge was narrow enough that he could fight them one or two at a time.
He calls it the bottleneck, basically.
And fought all day until his people could retreat. that is not only utterly badass, but is courageous. Because he could have fought off 100 men, or maybe the first one could have killed him.
Yeah.
It could have been just a sacrifice.
We'll never
And
know for sure.
that would have
but
never slowed them down at all. But instead, he's, like, I use the term berserker for this guy because what else would you call him?
Right. When one man with his sword and shield's ready to stand against, I don't care if it's 5 men or 50 men or 100 men or 500 men, that's, well, what else would you call it? The ballsy. I mean, that's courage out and out. He knows he'll probably die. Like, his chances of survival are probably 1,000,000 to 1, but he also knows in so doing, people behind him have a chance to get away and be safe. That's courage. That's, obviously we are tying acts of sacrifice to courage because that's often the case, unfortunately. Not always, but
I mean, yeah, you can stand up for people or yourself and it not be a risk to your life, but there's still risk. A lot of the friends that I have from early in life come from standing up against bullies with or for them.
Yeah.
Because I can't stand a damn bully. Bully, not bully.
Right.
Clearly I like those.
Right.
I touch me a lot.
He does. It's kind of disturbing.
But is the Battle of Stamford Bridge.
Ah, there we go. Historical stuff.
Yep. September 25th, 1066.
And
it's amusing. There's a Roman legend that is very similar, with one centurion holding holding a bridge. The bridge wasn't attacking.
Are you sure?
Attacked. Pretty sure.
Okay.
the Romans
So
did some
that's
drugs.
amusing.
It's a I would assume a kind of common theme, but at 1066, that's
After.
recorded history.
That's way after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not to say that one soldier or didn't emulate another.
Yeah, it's not to say that hasn't happened at other points in history.
Well, the creator of Krav Maga is a genuine Jewish superhero.
Yeah.
During World War II, he fought off an entire regiment of Nazis by himself
From
because
a town, right?
yeah, because he knew the space he was in. I was gonna say unarmed.
much.
Yeah, I was gonna say unarmed, but if you're utilizing Krav Maga, you're never unarmed.
Yeah, and he utilized part of what sort of developed the style and everything. He utilized from the story
improvised weapons.
Anything there he could use to fight back, to throw at them, to block, to hit them with, whatever.
So and it was something, but that was something like 40 something soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
40 heavily armed Nazi soldiers, but
And one basically unarmed man.
well, and the thing is like they weren't all bunched up together. It wasn't 40 on one. It was two or three here, two or three there.
It was 40 spread out, but that's still,
Yeah.
as you say,
Badass.
pretty badass. And definitely courage, because no matter how well he knew that space or how well he thought out his strategies, there's still the risk of his life every time he went up against even one at a time of those soldiers.
Right.
So, because this guy I don't think was even a soldier himself at the time, was he?
Well, there was no such thing as an Israeli army at that point.
Yeah,
Because,
so he wasn't even a trained soldier. He was just a citizen
Yeah.
defending himself and his town. So,
right.
yeah, not only an example of great badassery, but also courage.
Exactly.
Courage, more than just a cowardly dog.
Oh, I missed that show.
It's a great show.
It was stupid.
Well, yeah, but lots of stupid things are
Stupid
great.
dog!
That's why we're friends. I mean,
That was a pretty good Eustace.
yeah, it was.
I wonder if Eustace will ever call. Probably
We never
not.
know. We got. I know we've had some whispers of some people that are thinking about calling in to us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, stay tuned for that in the future, folks. We're gonna have
Dead celebrities
mostly dead ones, call in.
Right.
If you wonder how that works, just stay tuned to future
CA.
shows. You'll find out.
CA'd.
Right.
I'm an avid practicer of CA.
Yeah, if you say so, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wouldn't be through rune magic.
And he says so about a lot of things. So.
I do. Well, I know a lot of stuff.
It's true.
Been around for a while.
And not just stuff you made up either.
I know. I'll leave that up to you. So, now we're coming to a good closing point.
Yay!
Now that it's not 10 minutes ago.
Oh, shut up.
You shut up. You do that all the time. You jump the gun.
I do, yeah.
No, not nearly enough. I mean,
On that note.
Choco Taco. All right, we're going to give you guys a break for a minute and let you hear some music, and we will be right back.
We'll be back.
Thanks for listening to This Wyrd Road with Ulf and Boli.
You've been listening to This Wyrd Road with Ulf and Boli. I'm Boli Thorn. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions or comments, please contact us at the PTRN call-in line at 502-276-5665. Thank you. We hope you enjoy the show.
Nightmares to white parents whose worst fear is a child with dyed hair and who likes earrings. Like whatever they say has no bearing. It's so scary in a house that allows no swearing to see him walking around with his headphones blaring, alone in his own zone, cold and he don't care. He's a problem child, and what bothers him all comes out when he talks about his fucking dad walking out. Cause he hates him so bad that he blocks him out. If he ever saw him again, he'd probably knock him out. His thoughts are whacked, he's mad so he's talking back, talking black, brainwashed from rock and rap. He sags his pants, blue rags and a stocking cap. His stepfather hit him so he socked him back and broke his nose. His house is a broken home, there's no control, he just lets his emotions go. Entertainment is changing, intertwining with gangsters. In the land of the killers, a sinner's mind is a sanctum. Only you're unholy, only have one homie. Only this gun, only cause don't anyone know me. Yet everybody just feels like they can relate. I guess words are a motherfucker. They can be great, or they can degrade, or even worse, they can teach hate. It's like these kids hang on every single statement we make, like they worship us. Plus all the stores ship us platinum. Now how the fuck did this metamorphosis happen? From standing on corners and porches just rapping, to having a fortune, no more kissing ass. But then these critics crucify you, journalists try to burn you, fans turn on you, attorneys all wanna turn it to get their hands on every dime you have. They want you to lose your mind every time you mad, so they can try to make you out to look like a loose cannon. Any dispute won't hesitate to produce handguns. That's why these prosecutors wanna convict me, strictly just to get me off of these streets quickly. But all they kids be listening to me religiously, so I'm signing CDs while police fingerprint me. They're for the judge's daughter, but his grudge is against me. If I'm such a fucking menace, this shit doesn't make sense, B. It's all political. If my music is literal and I'm a criminal, how the fuck can I raise a little girl? I couldn't, I wouldn't be fit to. You're full of shit too, Guerrera. That was a bitch that hit you. They say music can alter moods and talk to you. Well, can it load a gun up for you and cock it too? Well, if it can, and the next time you assault to do, just tell the judge it was my fault and I'll get sued. See what these kids do is hear about us toting pistols, and they wanna get one cause they think the shit's cool, not knowing we really just protecting ourselves. We entertainers, of course the shit's affecting our sales, you ignoramus. But music is reflection of self, we just explain it, and then we get our checks in the mail. It's fucked up, ain't it? How we can come from practically nothing to being able to have any fucking thing that we wanted. That's why we sing for these kids who don't have a thing, except for a dream and a fucking rap magazine, who post pin-up pictures on their walls all day long, idolize their favorite rappers and know all their songs. Or for anyone who's never been through shit in their lives, so they sit and they cry at night, wishing they died. So they throw on a rap record and they sit and they vibe with nothing to you but with the fucking shit in their eyes. That's why we seize the moment, try to freeze it and own it, squeeze it and hold it, cause we consider these minutes golden. And maybe they'll admit it when we're gone. Just let our spirits live on through our lyrics that you hear in our songs, and we can sing with them. Sing for the year, sing for the mountain, sing for the tears. Sing with them, just for today. Maybe tomorrow the good Lord will take you away. Sing with them, sing for the year, sing for the mountain, sing for the tears. Sing with them, just for today. Maybe tomorrow the good Lord will take you away.
Help us control the pest population. Please spay and neuter your humans. Thanks for listening.
And as promised, we are back. If you're still listening, lucky us. You are listening to This Wyrd Road.
And thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You are listening to This Wyrd Road.
I found out who our listener is.
He's Boli.
I am. And that's Ulf.
I try to be. And we are covering, once again, courage this week. And
Right.
Boli has a few things to say on that topic.
Yeah, the gist is there are lots of types of courage. Because there's different things you can face. It's not always going to be another person. It's not always going to be, some evil regime, some evil empire.
Right, it's not always something physical.
Right. Well, I mean, even when it is, you have people who have like social anxiety, just crippling levels of anxiety, who still put on a brave face and
go out there every day.
go to work, do their best to meet with friends, stuff like that.
Right.
To
not let the monster inside win, if you will.
Let my monster win, if you know what I'm saying.
I don't want to know what you're saying about that.
There's been a lot of brave souls to see that. Anyhow, but there's all different kinds. And like I said, there is standing up to bullies for yourself or others. There's the social anxiety. There's illness.
Yeah.
Instances such as cancer.
Yeah, I was
where
going to say people fighting cancer, and we've both seen, we both had, unfortunately, front row seats for family members fighting that. And
right. And sometimes
talk about
the
treatment. Some of the most courageous souls I've known.
The treatment is sometimes worse than the disease.
Yeah, I mean, you have to basically willingly introduce poison into your body to kill something that is, in theory, worse than the poison.
In theory.
And things that, in a lot of cases, something that is going to leave lasting traces, that the thing you're putting in to kill the worst thing will do damage over time that you may not see for years.
Right.
I mean, but you're willing to do that to fight this thing. I mean, for those who think that it's no big deal fighting an illness, especially something like cancer, that's nowhere near true. Like I said, that some of the bravest souls I've known,
right,
some of them have been through stuff that, as tough as I think I am, I'm not sure I wouldn't break under.
He's not really. I've seen him.
I didn't say I was. I said I thought I was. There's a difference.
Oh, okay. Other things would be, if you are, like we both grew up pretty poor.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was a struggle just going to school,
Absolutely, yeah.
knowing you're going to get messed with because your shoes are old or
you're on the free lunch program.
Yeah, which at least here anyway, they've made it to where everyone gets free lunch.
Well, yeah, now, but at least but back when I went to school, that wasn't always the case.
No, and people knew it too, and you would get so much crap for it.
Yeah. for being the poor case or whatever.
Yeah.
Stuff that doesn't make any sense to get a hard time for, but kids are cruel. And,
Kids, shit, I've seen teachers
teaching
make fun
assistants and
of
stuff. Wow, that's really
kids
sad.
that, not necessarily for the free lunch thing, but your kid comes in who's dirty or
Yeah,
has lice or whatever.
things that they can't necessarily control, but they
Especially,
get.
when you're talking about a second grader, they don't have.
And really, for
control
some
over
kids,
that thing,
going
so
to
it's-
school can, because of those things and others, can be a testament of courage every day to refuse to get up, to get up and fight and refuse to give up, refuse, 'cause it'd be easy to ditch school or find excuses not to go. But for all the kids that don't do that, who get up and fight through it because they know they're better than that, that's courage. And, hats off to those kids.
A friend of mine had a very bad stutter growing up, and he would often have trouble just talking to people in general because he always felt that people were going to make fun of him or that he wouldn't be able to get his words out in general. And this is getting worse to a degree. This is, I think, a good place to talk about. Before, remember how I mentioned I have a particular stance on bullying?
Yes.
This, I think, is probably the best place to put it in. Personally, shut up. Personally, I think that we need to stop all this anti-bullying initiatives because, and follow me here, it actually makes it worse. Because it used to be that the jack-offs that we dealt with, they got to pick on everybody. They spread it out because a bully's going to be a bully,
right?
No matter what. So it is human nature. If you are that type of an aggressor, you will always be that aggressor, and they will always exist. But now we've gotten so watchful of it that, for one, the victims don't know how to defend themselves anymore. Because we haven't, but it has become the status quo that violence is always bad. That violence is never the answer. And no, I can tell you, having broken an asshole's nose before, who taunted me my whole life.
Sometimes you have to fight back.
Yeah, you have to. And guess who never bothered me again? That asshole. Right? Him, his cronies, nobody messed with me after that.
Starting a fight for no reason is bad. Violence for the sake of violence is bad.
Right.
But fighting back when you have to physically, you don't have to like it, you don't have to be predisposed to it, but sometimes you have to do it.
Right. But now
I do agree with that
we've
part,
taught an entire generation that violence is never the answer and that it is always bad. And so now we have people who don't know how to defend themselves in the slightest. They get punched in the face, and a natural response to violence is, revulsion in a healthy brain.
Right.
You're supposed to be repulsed by it, but you're also supposed to be willing to fight.
Right.
You can't always fly.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fight or flight, not flight or more flight.
Right. So where I was getting with the whole bullying initiatives, or the anti-bullying initiatives we have, is that now not only do kids not know that they can stand up for themselves, they think that it's wrong to do so. But you have teachers and all the adults basically honing in and watching like hawks. So therefore these bullies have to get creative. Which is where
it's made the bullies sneakier.
Which is where the online bullying has come in. But you also have people, they find their one mark. They find the person they know is not going to go get help.
Right.
And they taunt them and beat them and tease them and everything until that person snaps and you end up with a Columbine. Now, those guys were not teased.
Or until
they were just fucking psychos.
Or until something goes too far and the subject of the bullying is killed or commits suicide.
Right. But I'm saying you end up with these really horrible, exaggerated events that would not have happened if people had it in smaller doses, if it got spread out. The guy who picked on me through most of my life didn't just pick on me. If he had focused all that effort on me, one or both of us would be dead now. He's in prison, thankfully, because he's a goddamned pedophile, and I
Don't know where to put that.
seriously hope he gets raped to death. They resuscitate him, and it happens again. Pretty much in perpetuity, and I hope he's immortal. That it just keeps fucking happening.
Oh, that's a pretty horrible curse. Good job, buddy.
Thank you. But, and that's not just because of him bullying me, but because he's a goddamn
Mainly the
pedophile.
thing.
Yeah. By the way, if you are a pedophile and you happen to come across this, send me your address so that we can talk over therapy. And tell your friends that you probably won't be around. It's a seclusion therapy. Yes, that's it. Anyhow, so that's my bent on courage as far as dealing with bullies and things like that, and why I think that we need to back off and let them be what they're going to be.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm with you necessarily on completely disagreeing with the whole anti-bullying initiative, but I do see the places in where it is failing.
Yeah.
Where, like I said, one of the things I've seen and heard stories of is how more, not just the cyberbullying, of course, we all know that that's come to be a thing now, but where bullies in physical persona are getting more creative, they're getting sneakier,
Right.
they're getting less in your face about it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the old people are all nice and Eddie Haskell, but that reference dated us, but at least you get it.
I get it.
To the adults around, and then, you know, reveal their evil side to those that they persecute, and nothing
Right.
can be proven against it. So there definitely are
See, I think
flaws in the system.
I think there's a simple solution for cyberbullying. Not giving a crap. Because you can choose to just not participate in whatever it is they're doing. If they're messaging you, you can ignore them. When someone's got you backed into a broom closet in your school and is, you know, beating a tumor into your gut, you can't so much ignore that.
Yeah, true, but I mean, the things said via cyberbullying can be harmful too, nonetheless.
Only if you're unwilling to disconnect from it.
I mean, this generation of kids is so.
Well, I don't mean you have to be off of the computer. I mean,
No, but I mean,
every form of social media has a means of blocking people. You
Right.
just don't talk to those people. Don't make them your friend.
What I'm saying is,
and
as
then-
invested as so many of them are into it, I'm not sure that option pops across their mind first. You know,
That's the first thing I do when someone starts spouting crazy crap.
well, that's the first thing, but that's because that's the first thing we do in real life is, oh, you're an asshole and I don't want you in my life. Just ignore you and walk away.
But then there's cases of catfishing where somebody will be a close friend for months, and then all of a sudden
Turn.
Yeah, but
turn.
at the first sign of someone being an ass, you can choose to not talk to them. You can't real life unfriend and ignore people. If you could,
Oh
man,
would things be easier.
my block box would be huge.
I heard your
but-
box was huge. Giggity.
Your sister loves it. Anyhow,
I hope she hears this and comes to punch you in the face.
I hope she hears this and agrees with me.
Or her husband comes to punch you in the face.
He loves it too.
Oh.
And that's how you make an Ulf shut up.
And vomit. Yeah.
We're not into that. So, we've spent 10 minutes talking about that. How about we get into other things? Mythological.
Courage as posed in our stories. We usually do bring the stories into it somewhere, so
Right.
it's story time.
Hooray! My favorite would probably be Thjalfi. Thor's human servant, I guess, would be the best word.
Servant / companion / kind of buddy.
Right.
Most people who've read or heard the stories of the Norse know how Thor got Thjalfi by his side or in his possession, really.
Is it?
The squire.
No horses were involved. Catherine the Great. I know the story's debunked, but it's still funny.
Basically, Thor was sharing his fire with a family. The short version of the story.
I don't know. I like the long version.
Well, then you tell the long version.
Okay.
It was good on me for being long-winded, so I'll let you have the long story.
That's right. That's what she said. Thor and Loki are on their way to Utgard Loki to, basically smash giants. That's what he does.
Right, yeah. Put the hammer down.
You want me to put the hammer down? Oh, Chris Helmsworth, if you're listening, you're not. But if you were, you could be on our show any day.
That's a fact.
Ulf will clean off a space for you. I gestured toward wiping off his face.
Lap, whichever. Don't touch me.
Yeah. So, anyhow, so they're on their way. It's late. They're hungry. And, when Thor's hungry, everyone's in danger.
Yes.
So
Man of large appetites.
So they find this dusty little cottage. They go in. Well, they knock. They make themselves known. They're asked to come inside. The family offers to share what little bit of food they have because they acknowledge who their guests is ours, whatever.
Right. Who their guests are.
Was his. Anyhow, they acknowledge this, and so they're like, all we've got is basically wind soup and air sandwiches, but you're welcome to it.
You're welcome to share what little we have.
Yeah. Thor's like, that's nonsense. I'll go slaughter my goats. We'll eat well tonight.
Meaning the goats that pulled his chariot, Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder.
Yes. Now, say their actual names.
I cannot. That's why I go with the translations.
So anyhow, he's like, hey, we'll eat the goats. They go out. He lays out his tarp, basically, and is like, put your bones over there. Don't damage the bones. Eat all the meat you want. Don't damage the bones. So they're not used to such a fine meal, and Dad was not willing to not eat the marrow, which, by the way, gross.
Yeah, but it was something people often did for more
Alex,
protein.
If you're one of those people who eats the marrow, you're gross. Don't do that. It's gross. Anyhow, so Dad takes his knife, cuts into a bone.
I always heard snaps it. Snaps it for the marrow.
I heard
snap the bone.
Cut it. Anyhow, marrow is had.
Bones are damaged.
The goat is now lamed. So in the morning he does his mojo, resurrects the goats, and notices one of them has a limp, and he throws an epic temper tantrum. Loki's like, calm your shits. Hey, de-stress your breast, buddy.
So another way around this.
The father's like, it was me. I'm sorry. Please make it quick. And Thor's like, okay. And Loki's like, nah. And Thialfi and his sister Ruskva step in, and they're like, take us. Please don't kill us, but take us.
So they are offered as slaves, basically, in recompense for the father's damages.
Which was the thing.
It was Wyrd, yeah.
So they then go off. The reason that I bring up Thialfi is when they get to Utgard Loki and the challenges are being thrown out there, nothing is really pitched to Roskva, but Thialfi's like, oh, foot race? I'll do it.
Yeah, he's like,
he loses. But, who can win against Thought? Oh, sorry, spoiler alert for this 1,000-year-old story.
Right.
Whatever. If you don't know this story, you probably are listening to the wrong show. Anyway.
That may be a fair bit.
People are like, wait, are they talking about Norse mythology? I'm out of here.
Get back here. So yeah, to stand up to what he did, a normal human standing up to say, I'll be in this challenge against giants and gods, I'd say that's courage.
Oh, yeah. That's
swinging.
That's 10 pounds of swinging meat and brass balls right there. That is.
That's definitely dancing. He's limboing back and forth across that line between stupidity and courage.
Yes.
Yeah, he's teetering it, but good on him.
Right, and he's brought up again. I want to say against. Oh crap! The story in which Thor got his piece of flint stuck in his melon. He's with him there. Mud Calf. The 3 league tall mud giant. Yes.
Yes. Well, in the story with the giants there, I think part of the reason he shows that courage is to prove his worth to Thor.
Yeah.
To prove his courage and prove his worth to say, this is why I was worth the exchange.
course, it was just a foot race. It wasn't here wrestle old age.
True.
Sorry, spoilers again.
Although, this is a bit of a digression, but as you pointed out before, the sister just disappears from the stories.
Yeah, she really does.
Like you said, he's brought up in at least one other we know of.
Yeah.
And she disappears like the third Winslow child.
Huh?
Exactly. Again, a reference proving that we are old freaking men.
I actually got it, but I was making the point.
Right.
And like the Winslow wife, they just changed it. I'm talking Family Matters. What are you talking about?
I was talking Family Matters. No, the wife on that's not the wife on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air changed.
So the wife on
Family Matters changed.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
Second season.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Completely different woman, looks absolutely nothing like the first, and there you go. She's just and everybody's like, oh, no,
she's her.
That's her.
And the daughter character we're mentioning about, since we're on a complete tangent, just first season they have a daughter, then they just don't. Nobody mentions her. Her main name's not mentioned again. Anything. It's just like they only have the 2 kids. What are you talking about?
It's kind of like the reverse of Dawn on Buffy.
Yeah, whereas the Dawn was the kid that popped in.
5 seasons in, no sister.
Yeah, but at least they justified that.
Right.
That had a story
it
point to
it. But, yeah. So, Ruskva just disappears.
She just vanishes from the stories. Now, I've always wondered that if somewhere in all those oral traditions and stories that we've lost, that we hope to maybe someday find again, if there are stories of her in it.
I've already told you time travel will never happen. If it was going to, it would have already happened, if you know what I mean. It will have happened in the future to now, but some jackass with a time machine would have come back and made himself a deity.
And screwed something up or both.
Yeah. The current election. The current POTUS.
It's definitely something screwed up.
No! You idiots!
You almost had a Planet of the Apes moment there, I think. But yeah, I really do wonder if stories of her, just like we have other deities, particularly a lot of female deities, but some more of the male ones as well, that are mentioned in small little stories, like in name, like blah blah, deity of blah, and then we hear nothing else of them. So you have to wonder what all knowledge and lessons and things we've lost in those stories.
Like Vidar, he basically only shows up at Ragnarok.
Yeah. He's mentioned a couple other times. We know he's one of Odin's sons.
Yeah. But
we vaguely know what he represents, what his, for lack of a better term, portfolio of powers and abilities is.
Revenge, basically.
Revenge, secrets, and dark places.
Your secrets of dark places.
Don't you forget it, buddy.
Now my stomach will commit revenge against you for that. Commit revenge, that's right. It is committed to revenge. After all my life, I don't know what to do after revenge.
Sorry, folks. Some days we don't even know what we're smoking here, but...
So who else... basically all the protagonists of stories show some sort of courage. But who would you say...
courage all over the place.
Who would you say stands out, though?
This may seem like to you, a Lokian, this may not seem like an island, but to some other people, this may... during the story of when the weapons are being forged, Loki going in as the fly, biting the dwarf. To me, that's a show of courage, because he could have been squashified.
Right.
Or, any other number of things. Or he could have, if he really got found out, his fate after the fact could have been worse. Loki could be a lot of things. A jackass, a trickster.
Right.
But that's still, there's courage in that going, this might get me killed, but I better do it or else, I'll get killed worse.
Right.
But he was basically trying not to get killed worse. Makes sense to me, damn it.
Right.
But, so to me, there was some courage in that act. I guess you could flip it around and say there was cowardice in that because he was trying to keep from the other death.
Right.
But I do see an example of courage there. See, what else we got? We have, like you said, so many examples.
There's no reason to stick to just ours. But
would you say the guy in the boat with Thor, when Thor had Norman going there on the hook, the guy that was ballsy enough to reach over and cut Thor's line?
Oh, yeah. Well, there was a giant they weren't known for their smarts. So I would say that's the other side of bravery.
Fair enough.
Because they didn't want Jormungandr awakened. Would you?
Fair point.
I would much rather deal with Thor. That's going to be a quick death.
Again, fair point.
Yeah. So
yeah, you're right. I mean, we by no means have to stick to our lore. Courage is all over the place.
right. A good example, and it's a modern example, is the Burqa Avenger. The people that are putting that crap together, that's some ballsy stuff.
I don't know if I know this.
Is a Pakistani Muslim superhero. She's a woman, for one,
Right.
and like rescues orphans and stuff like that.
She protects a school of children, specifically female
Is
children.
this a for real life thing?
Yeah.
Or,
Well,
wow.
no.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Is somebody
The
put together a
cartoon.
story?
It's a
It's a
cartoon.
cartoon.
Yeah, it's a cartoon.
But still,
It's a
in the
Pakistani cartoon.
Yeah.
okay, in that culture, that is brave to put that together
And,
because they can
Nalala been shot by, like, and that's some real life bravery.
yeah,
You know, she was shot by the ones before ISIS, but after
Al Qaeda.
Was it Al Qaeda?
I'm
I thought it was one of the
not sure.
little stupid ones between. But anyway, she was shot by a Muslim extremist for basically being a girl and standing
And
up.
going to school.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then she's gone on to write books and appear on TV and stuff like
you know,
that.
we're talking about different types of bravery. Now, over here, a girl going to school, not brave. Making a cartoon that's a little in your face about something, not really brave, because we have the freedom to do that here. But making a cartoon like that... For now, yeah. Making a cartoon like that in Pakistan, though, ballsy, brave, in my opinion. Her standing up, going to school and saying, I'm a woman who wants to be intelligent and smart, you can't stop me. Smart. I mean, she knew her life was at risk.
Yeah.
You know, and those people putting together cartoons, I think they know what kind of danger they could be in over there. And they're still doing it because they think it's a voice that needs to be heard.
Oh, you know,
And
Charlie Hebdo.
Again, our hats off to you here. We support that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Charlie Hebdo, and then the Swiss newspaper that ran the picture of the quote unquote picture of Muhammad.
Oh yeah,
that
that got people shot.
Yeah, it's brave to speak out against nuts,
tyranny, or
right,
fanaticism in that case.
Yeah, so. Basically, and I would like to make this perfectly clear, if your faith tells you to kill people, you need a new religion. You're doing it wrong.
You're reading something wrong or something. You're doing it wrong. Because
unless, like, maybe you're a Cthulhuan cultist.
Yeah, right.
But, really, who wants to bring about the old ones? That's just dumb.
Yeah, it always seemed kind of stupid to me. But that was sort of the point of it. That's why they were stories and they were out there.
Yeah.
Again, kind of another thing, but yeah, killing in the name of your religion, by the way, not brave.
No.
Stupid.
Dumb. You're
Completely dumb. And we have nothing on this show against particular religions, just against fanatics, no matter what you cite your fanaticism being associated with.
You're a little bit wrong.
Okay.
Scientologist, screw you guys.
Okay, fair point.
The really any extremist, but the Mormons that marry 9-year-olds and the Muslims that marry 9-year-olds.
Anybody's that marry 9-year-olds, to hell with y'all.
Yeah, you can basically mark off an acre and kiss my ass.
There's a lot there, pack a lunch, but do it anyway.
Anyhow, it was my joke to be made. I'm the one that said mark off an acre. Anyhow.
Just trying to help you, buddy.
Well, stop helping. It hurts.
That's what you... Wait a minute.
And just Scientology's stupid. I'll throw it out there. Yeah. You can send your hate mail to Ulf and Boli. No, I'm just kidding. You can send it to me at thiswyrdroad@gmail.com or ThisWyrdRoad at Facebook, or you can call the PTRN call-in line at 502-276-5665. They'll get the message to
even
me.
if you're calling in to go, why do you let these jackasses on air? Hey, at least we get attention that way, and
That's
that's
right.
really what we're here for.
Yeah, we're sad little individuals without people paying attention to us.
That's true.
This, however, wraps up our show on courage. Come back to us next time when we will be discussing something that's not courage.
Nope. Another one of the virtues, though. And this time it will be
discipline.
Oh,
of
boy.
which we lack.
Of which we have none. So
yes. So join us in 2 weeks.
The blind leading the blind on this one, folks.
Join us in 2 weeks as we discuss discipline on this weird road. I'm Boli.
I'm Ulf, saying,
good night and good luck.
Guard your weird, protect your kin.
You're
See you
trying
soon.
too hard.
Mwah.
Mwah.